Welcome back to another one. I have many videos on taxes, so please go in there and take a look. This is just a unique one because there is a question with a table, and we're going to use the content of the table to graph or to do the graph and answer the question. So I'll walk you through that. But before we go into anything else, let's look at the concept review for taxes. So this is taxes with a question. Okay, what is the concept review here? If you notice, I just set things up and I will fill in the two graphs. And let's go over the impact of taxes on suppliers and tax on consumers. The impact is the same, really. What is going to happen here is because of a tax, the price consumers pay will be higher, the price producers keep will be lower, the tax will be between the two prices, the higher one consumers pay and the lower one that the producers keep. There will be a deadweight loss, there is an underproduction, the government gets a tax revenue, consumer surplus and producer surplus will both shrink. Okay, so if we were to put a tax, let's use my blue or red pen here. If we were to impose a tax on suppliers, the supply curve will shift backward like so. So we have S plus tax. Now I want you to become a pro at drawing these graphs. Okay, well, first let me label it the initial intersection, right? That's our P star and our Q star, the initial intersection between S1 and D1. Okay, now when the supply curve shifts to the left, because suppliers are going to act as if that tax is an additional cost per unit, right? And so this is now the new equilibrium. At that new equilibrium, we get a P consumer. This is the price consumers will pay. It's a higher price than the equilibrium, right? Okay, now what about the quantity that will be demanded and supplied now? Well, that quantity here, let's call it Q tax. So that's the quantity that will now be supplied and consumed. You can see there's a difference between the Q tax and the Q star. We call that the underproduction, right? Underproduction. That due to the tax, much less has been produced and consumed than the scenario without the tax. Okay, now if you remember, I keep mentioning the price that producers will keep. Well, the price that producers will keep, if you want to find it really, it will be the price consumers pay minus the tax. So, or the tax amount, right? So here will be the price producers keep. Producers keep that. All right. So the difference between the two, here, the difference between the two, the price consumers are paying and the price producers are keeping, the difference between the two is that tax amount. Okay, now to shade for you the tax revenue. And I know some of you already remember this, possibly from class or some other lecture somewhere. That blue shaded area is the tax revenue that will go to the government. Okay, now what about the deadweight loss? I will shade that in green. The deadweight loss is this area. The height of the deadweight loss, right, is the tax amount, and the width of the deadweight loss is the underproduction. So deadweight loss. All right. Okay, so where is the consumer surplus and producer surplus? Consumer surplus is up here in yellow, shaded in yellow. Producer surplus is the dotted area, also in yellow. Okay, so there is producer surplus, and this is the shrunken producer surplus, and up here the shaded area is consumer surplus. I want you to get really good at drawing these because it makes answering the questions very easy and it goes fast. All right, now what if we are envisioning taxing the consumer? When we tax the consumer, the demand curve falls down here like so. Now, before I forget, let me label equilibrium. Equilibrium is labeled like so, P star, Q star. There is this new intersection that gives us what the producers keep. So price producers keep, right? So producers keep that. That's the price. Okay. From there, the difference between the price producers keep and the price consumers pay is the tax. So you can see somewhat that I'm doing it backward here, right? So this is P consumers, this is the price consumers pay. And the difference between the two is the tax. Now this here will be the Q tax as we saw before. The difference between them will be the underproduction. Do you see how there isn't much of a difference when you tax consumers versus when you tax suppliers, right? Okay, so here we have the deadweight loss, and in blue we have the tax revenue, and in yellow I will shade off consumer surplus, and here I will dot off the producer surplus. Both of them have shrunk up. Okay, hopefully I didn't miss anything here. All right, so that's the concept review, and these are this is the summary of the impact on taxing consumers or taxing producers. The impact is the same. Okay, and now the question. Oops. Okay, let's read through this question. We have here an assumption that the government taxes packs of cigarettes both to discourage smoking and to raise tax revenue. The average excise tax on a pack of cigarettes is $2.50. This is important information, so let's circle it. And then we see the table, which is presenting us the annual demand and supply schedules. Now, it seems that here we are taxing, the taxes being placed on suppliers, right? Because the new curve is a new supply curve, not a new demand curve, right? So you can tell some of these things just from the question that's being asked. Okay, so we have the price column, we have the initial quantity column, and the initial supply column, and then the supply that changes because of the tax. Let's draw it. Okay, very simply, price, quantity. I'm just going to draw a downward sloping demand curve like this and an upward sloping supply curve like so, and figure out what the equilibrium is right here. Okay, let's go to the table. I have already scanned it and I know it's right here, right? $7.35 here, 35 here. So yeah, there it is. 35. Okay. What next? We know that when there is a tax, suppliers take that tax as an additional cost. So we are going to expect the supply curve to shift backward like this, S plus tax. S plus tax. Okay. We need to find the new equilibrium point between the new supply curve, this changed supply curve, and the demand curve. And so where is that? I know that is somewhere at 825. So this is the demand curve. This is the new that's changed supply curve, right? So right here we have I want to use the dollar sign here, so let's go ahead and do that. 825. Okay, and the quantity demanded and supplied there will be 22.5. Great. We are done using the table. From here on, what is the price that the producer will keep? Consumers are paying 8.25 now due to the tax. Before, without the tax, and before the tax, it was $7. Now it's $125 more. So to find the price that producers will keep, well, all you have to do is subtract 250, right, from that 825. And that will just be that tax of 250, right, of 250. And when I do that subtraction, I'm going to get 575 right here. That's how to find the price producers will keep. Okay, hopefully I didn't lose you. From here on, can we calculate the tax revenue and the deadweight loss? Yes, we can. You see, so let's go back with our graph here. Okay, let's answer some of these questions. Before the tax, what are the equilibrium price and quantity? Or without the tax, what are the equilibrium price and quantity? Well, it's $7. That's the equilibrium price, right? And the equilibrium quantity is 35 billion. Okay, great. Now, B, what are the equilibrium price and quantity if there is a 2.5 tax per unit? That's the first one we found, right? That is our, let me go back here, right? That is our 8.25 and the 22.5. So let's go back. That here, equilibrium price now, when there is a tax, is 8.25 and the quantity is 22.5 billion units. And so what is the tax revenue? Well, let me shade that for us in blue again. The tax revenue is that area right here. This is the tax revenue. You can see it's a triangle. It's a rectangle. And so we will do length times breadth, right? Area of a rectangle. And that will be 8.25 minus 5.75, right? 8.25 minus 5.75. That's one of the sides. Multiply that by 22.5 minus 0. And that should give you your answer. Okay, now I'll let you do that because we figured it out already. So I'll let you write that answer in there for yourself. All right, what's the next question? By how many units does the quantity demanded fall due to the tax? Due to the tax, there is an underproduction, right? The underproduction is right here. And so the quantity will fall, right? 35 minus 22.5. That sounds like 12.5 billion units to me, right? So that's the underproduction. Okay, so here we have 12.5 billion. By how much? That's E now. By how much did price paid by consumers change due to the tax? So here you're going to compare the price that consumers paid before the tax, $7, and the price they paid after the tax, 8.25. You see, so consumers saw an increase in price. Okay, let's see here. We'll write our answer: 8.25 minus $7, and so the change in price for consumers is $1.25. Okay, F. What is the price the producer keeps due to the tax? Before the tax, producers will collect $7 and keep $7. But because of the tax, producers will keep less than $7 now. But how much more less? Well, that fell to $5.75. And so, what is the price the producer keeps? The producer keeps $5.75. And that's all you have to do with this one. What about deadweight loss? Do you think you can calculate that on your own? Let me help you a bit. So EF, let's write G, deadweight loss. Now, the deadweight loss is a triangle, so you calculate it as half area of a triangle times base times height. Now, our triangle sort of looks like this, right? And here, right, the difference here is 35, 22.5, and let me go back up and check. We have 8.25 and 5.75. Okay, 8.25, 5.75, right? So your 0.5 times your base will be 35 minus 22.5, and your height will be, by the way, this is deadweight loss, and your height will be 8.25 minus 5.75. Really, this is the amount of the tax, right? 250 times, we calculated this earlier, 12.5, right? Times half. And I will let you complete that calculation on your own. But this is it. Was that too hard? Okay. It wasn't. Good. All right. End of the video. Thank you so much. Like and subscribe. See you on the next one.